Landscapes at dawn. A long road cutting through mountains. A train gliding beside a river. A ferry crossing calm water. The camera never rushes. The world rarely announces when something important is about to happen. It doesn't stop the wind. It doesn't quiet the streets. It doesn't pause the movement of people going somewhere else. Life continues. Roads stretch forward whether someone is ready to walk them or not. Trains leave stations without waiting for hesitation. And journeys begin, even when the traveler doesn't realize it yet. Some people travel because they are searching. Others travel because they are running. And then there are those who move simply because standing still hurts too much. This is not a story about destinations. It is a story about what remains between them. A small bus pulls into a quiet town. Morning mist clings to the ground. Adrian steps off alone, adjusting the strap of his backpack. The bus drives away, leaving silence. Adrian Cole stepped off the bus without looking back. He never did. At 34, he had learned that goodbyes felt lighter when you didn't let them settle. Once, his life had been precise. Meetings scheduled weeks in advance. Flights booked early. Everything accounted for. Until the one thing he couldn't plan for happened. Loss doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't knock. It simply takes something and leaves you standing in the space where it used to be. After that, Adrian stopped planning. He traveled with no timeline, no return tickets, no promises to anyone waiting for him. This town was meant to be brief. One night, maybe two. Enough time to sleep, enough time to move on. Adrian walks through narrow streets, shops opening slowly, a bakery window fogged with warmth, locals greeting one another quietly. He notices everything, but attaches to nothing. He had mastered that skill. Observe. Move forward. Leave. Belonging required roots. And roots required staying long enough to be remembered. He wasn't ready for that. A bell rings softly as Adrian enters a small, old bookshop. Dust floats in warm sunlight. Shelves bend under the weight of forgotten stories. It was the bell that made him stop. A soft sound. Unimportant. And yet, it slowed his step. The bookshop smelled like paper and quiet afternoons. Like places that didn't expect anything from you. Adrian wandered without purpose, running his fingers along spines worn smooth by years of being chosen, and then left behind. He reached for a journal at random. Not because it called to him. Not because it mattered. Just because it was there. When he opened it, something slipped free and fell to the floor. A single folded page. The page lies still. Handwritten. Slightly yellowed. The ink faded but careful. Adrian picks it up. If you're holding this, you're already on a journey you didn't plan. He read it once. Then again. The words didn't feel written. They felt spoken. As if someone had known exactly who would find them. Adrian turns the page over. More writing. Some of us leave pieces of ourselves behind when we travel. Not because we want to, but because we don't know how to carry everything. His grip tightened slightly. He hadn't expected recognition. He certainly hadn't expected understanding. The journal wasn't for sale. There was no price written inside. No name on the cover. It was simply waiting. For reasons Adrian didn't question, he placed money on the counter anyway. The shopkeeper didn't look up. Some exchanges didn't require acknowledgement. Adrian sits by a cafe window later that morning. Journal open. Untouched coffee cooling beside him. Outside, the town moves gently around him. For the first time in a long while, he doesn't feel the urge to leave. Sometimes, the journey doesn't begin with a decision. It begins with a pause. And in that pause, something quietly changes direction. A train glides into a quiet station at dusk. The sky is washed in soft amber and gray. Doors open. A woman steps down slowly, holding a worn leather-bound notebook close to her chest. Maya Lorne had once lived her life through movement. Airports, film sets, hotel rooms that blurred together. She had spent years capturing other people's stories, their laughter, their courage, their love, stitching moments together into something meaningful, until her own story stopped mid-sentence. It didn't end dramatically. There was no argument, no final scene, just silence. And sometimes, silence is heavier than any sound. Maya walks through the station without urgency. Other passengers rush past her. She moves as if the world has slowed, or perhaps she has. After her engagement ended, Maya didn't fall apart. She simply paused. Her camera stayed in its case. Her emails went unanswered. Her life, once built on deadlines and destinations, narrowed into something smaller, safer. She told herself it was temporary. Weeks became months. Movement became memory. Interior, Maya's small apartment weeks earlier. Evening light filters through curtains. A parcel rests on the table. The journal arrived without warning. No return address. No explanation. Just her name written carefully on the front. She hadn't ordered anything. Hadn't been expecting anyone. For a long moment, she simply stared at it. Some things feel heavier before you even touch them. Maya opens the package. Inside is a leather-bound journal, worn, but cared for. Tucked into the first page is a note. She unfolds it. If you're reading this, it means you're still listening. Follow the places I couldn't stay. That was all. No name. No goodbye. Maya should have dismissed it. Should have placed it back in the box and returned to the quiet she had built around herself. Instead, she sat down and opened the journal. The handwriting was careful, almost gentle. The entry spoke of trains taken at the last minute, of towns passed through but never fully known, of moments that felt important, though the writer hadn't known why at the time. One sentence caught her breath. Some people think stopping means giving up. Sometimes, it's just waiting for the right direction. Her fingers trembled slightly. It felt as though someone had reached across time and touched the place she'd been avoiding. Maya sits at her kitchen table late at night. The journal open. A map folded inside. She found the map near the back of the journal. Folded carefully. Edges soft from use. Several locations were marked, small towns, far from anything famous. And one was circled. The same town Adrian now sat in, without knowing why. Maya traces the circle with her finger. She hasn't traveled in months. She hasn't wanted to. Fear isn't always loud. Sometimes it sounds like logic. You're not ready. It won't change anything. Stay where it's safe. Maya listened to those voices every day. But this time, she folded the map back into the journal and stood up. Suitcase pulled from under the bed. Clothes folded slowly. The camera placed gently inside its case. Each action deliberate. Each choice quiet. She didn't tell anyone she was leaving. Didn't need to. This wasn't an escape. It was an answer. Adrian reading the journal by a cafe window. Maya watching the landscape pass from a train. They traveled separately, unaware of each other, yet guided by words written by someone neither had met. Adrian read about a cafe where the writer once waited for someone who never arrived. Maya read about a bridge crossed at dawn, unsure whether it led forward or back. Different stories. Same voice. Adrian pauses on a sentence. If you're feeling pulled forward, don't resist it. Maya stops at another. Some paths only reveal themselves once you begin walking. Neither questioned why the words mattered. They simply did. Evening settles over the town. The train arrives. Maya steps onto the platform. Maya arrived as the light faded. The town felt familiar, though she had never been there before, as if she had seen it once. in a different life. She walked slowly, taking in details. The bell tower, the narrow streets, the sound of wind moving through open windows. Something about the air felt patient. Adrian walks past the station moments later, just out of frame. They miss each other by seconds. They were close, closer than either realized. But some meetings require timing, not proximity. Maya places a journal on a bedside table in a guest house room. Adrian does the same in a different building. That night, both journals lay open. Different rooms, different lives. The same question echoing quietly between the pages. What if this time you stayed? Some connections don't begin with conversation. They begin with alignment, with footsteps moving in the same direction, before the travelers ever meet. Early morning, narrow streets, soft light, curtains moving gently through open windows. The town wakes slowly. Morning arrived quietly in the town. No alarms, no rush, just the soft agreement between light and shadow that another day had begun. The wind moved first. It always did. It slipped through alleys, brushed against door frames, and stirred loose papers on cafe tables, as if it was searching or guiding. Adrian walks through the street with his journal tucked under his arm. Maya steps outside her guest house, her camera hanging unused at his side. Neither of them planned to leave their rooms early, and yet both did. Some instincts don't announce themselves. They simply pull. Adrian stops near a small square. He sits on a bench, opens the journal. Maya pauses across the street, adjusting her scarf as the wind rises. A loose page slips from Adrian's journal and drifts across the stone ground. It stops near Maya's feet. The page had been folded once, carefully, as if meant to be found again. Maya bends, picks up the page. Adrian notices her. She hesitated, then picked it up. The handwriting was unfamiliar, but the words felt close. If you're reading this outside your own room, it means the journey is no longer yours alone. Maya looked up. Across the square, a man watched her. Not startled, not impatient, just present. Their eyes meet. Not dramatically, not urgently. The kind of look that asks nothing, yet remembers. Adrian crossed the square slowly. He didn't know why his steps felt careful, only that they did. Is that yours? Maya asked softly, holding the page. Yes, he said, then paused. I think it is. She handed it to him. Their fingers brushed, only briefly, but something shifted. They sit on the bench, not too close, not too far. They didn't exchange names. They didn't ask questions that felt too large for morning. Instead, Maya gestured to the journal. I have one too, she said. Adrian looked at her and smiled, not because he was surprised, but because he wasn't. Maya opened her journal. Folded inside, the same map, the same markings, the same circled town. They stared at the map side by side. Two separate paths. One destination. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was thoughtful, as if both were listening for something beneath the quiet. They walked through the town together. No rush, no plan. They walked, not because they decided to, but because stopping didn't feel right. They spoke in fragments, small things, where they were from, how long they planned to stay. Neither mentioned what they had lost. Some truths wait. A cafe shed, 2 cups on the table, sunlight shifting across stone streets, 2 journals resting side by side. By afternoon, they reached the edge of town. A sign pointed toward a road neither had traveled yet. Maya read the next journal entry aloud. Sometimes the echo isn't a memory. It's a promise. Adrian looked at the road, then at her. Are you going that way? He asked. Maya hesitated, then nodded. Yes. The road stretches ahead. Two figures walking side by side, small against the landscape. They didn't call it a decision. They didn't name it anything at all. But for the first time in a long while, neither of them walked alone. Two journals, one road, and echoes still unfolding.